My name's Sasha Lopez, Channel Marketing Systems Manager, and I'll be one of your training session leaders today. At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Dealer Growth Automation Training Session. All lines are currently on mute to prevent any background noise. Today, I'm joined by Lisa Medier, Channel Marketing Project Manager, Paula Hargrove, Rebates Manager, and Holly Lobas, Channel Marketing Systems Director. If you have questions during the presentation, please submit them through the questions area right there on your dashboard. Now, should you require assistance during the meeting, please submit your needs to the questions area as well, and myself or one of the other hosts will assist you privately. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Lisa Medier. Lisa, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Sasha, and thank you everybody for joining us today for the Dealer Growth Automation webinar for our independent distributors. Here's the agenda that we'll be following today. We'll be going over the Dealer Growth Automation project at a high level, and then we'll be going over a live demo so that you can all see what to expect when you get into the application. After that, we're going to go over any questions that you might have. So what was the goal of our project? It was really to automate the existing manual processes that the rebate analysts had for calculating and paying your dealer growth rebates. You know how cumbersome that could be with the Excel spreadsheets and via emails to those of you that are in the approval process. And some of those challenges were that there were long lead times for dealer payments. It could lead to very limited visibility just in passing it on to different people within your company. And if you wanted to look back at payment or approval history, then you needed to look at it within your saved emails. So that was very challenging. But most of all, there was no visibility to dealer growth progress towards their current goals. So these were the things that we had in mind when we attacked the Dealer Growth Automation project. It includes automated calculations. So all of the calculations for your dealer growth rebates are now automated. It's a completely online approval and exception process. You will have visibility to dealer and distributor dashboards that will give you progress to goals during the year for your dealer growth programs. And it all includes an online interface within Partner Link. Here's what the dashboard itself looks like. There's a little background noise. I don't know if somebody is not on mute, but if they aren't, if you could put yourself on mute, I'd appreciate it. And again, here is the dashboard itself, and it may look familiar to some of you that are familiar with the customizable rebates. So it includes a menu item for payments pending approval, the dealer growth rebates, distributor dashboard, dealer dashboard, and your quarterly payment history, and then helpful information. And I'm going to show you in depth what each one of those contains. But I do want to do a shout out and thank some of our distributor partners for participating in focus groups with me to answer questions and find out what types of information you needed for sure to review your dealer growth rebates and what would make it easier in the tool for you to jump from screen to screen. So I really appreciate them putting in the time, and they were doing that just as individuals for all of you as distributors, not for their specific company. And then again, I had different distributors that participated in beta testing just to make sure that we had the bugs worked out. So I do want to thank those that participated with us in the focus group and beta testing. So what do we base our automated calculations on? Just like in the manual calculations, it's based on your distributor reported sales, those sales that you report through rebates automation. So our automated calculations will begin after your dealer discount pricing rebates have been paid in rebates automation for all of the periods in a quarter. So let me back up and explain that a little bit more. We are not changing the periods that we are going to pay or the times that we are going to pay. It's still on a quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four time period. But if you have dealer growths that end in Q1 2024, let's say they are end of life at 2000 in Q1, so they end on March 31st or anytime within that Q1, or you have a quarterly PAP, dealer growth PAP, that is to be paid on that first quarter, they still come up for Q1 2024, but the calculations will not be done until after all of those periods, which include any prior and period 1, 2, and 3, which are months January, February, and March, and those are completed and paid in your discount pricing rebates. The day after those are paid, so after the last one, let's say March, then your calculations are done within the tool. It will then begin to go into your dealer growth approval flow. The very next day, your rebates analyst will still review it within the tool, just as they always did. And after your rebate analyst approves it within the dealer growth automation tool, then it will go to the next level. It will go to you, the customer. You will receive an automated email notification to let you know that it's ready for pending payment approval. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about who in your company it will go to, because that's all dependent on who you identify as your dealer growth approvers. So in that dealer growth approval flow, after you approve it, and there are some special functionalities that you can utilize within the tool, such as submitting exceptions or rejecting individual forms that I'll go a little bit more into. But after you complete all of your details and you approve the final quarter, then it will go down to the next level, level 3, which is finance. And just as the normal manual process, they can approve or reject the quarter. And then it goes to payment after they approve. So let's talk a little bit more about who will be approving your dealer growth rebates. And this is something that you can do right now to prepare for your Q1 24 quarterly rebates, because all distributors will be processed within automation for Q1 2024. And they will be ready once you complete January, February, and March for your dealer pricing, your discount pricing rebates, as I mentioned. So right now, today, you as a distributor can identify who you want to be the dealer growth rebate approvers. And it could very well be the same people that are approving in your manual process, but usually it could be 1 or 2 people. After you identify who they are, then have your distributor super user assign them the dealer growth approver role and the dealer growth application within their unique partner link ID. Just have them check off those boxes. Third, when those calculations have been approved by your rebates analyst, those people that have been identified as the dealer growth approvers will receive an automated email notification letting you know that your payments are pending payment approval. And only those people that have the dealer growth approval role will be getting the notifications. They will get reminders if it's not approved within 7, 14, and 21 days. And they are the only ones that can approve the payments, that will have access or will ever see information under that menu item. So just as it is within your manual process, you have the selection of 2 payment options. You can either select for the distributor yourself to issue the full dealer growth check to your dealers and have Daikin issue a credit for our portion to you within your rebates automation, or you can have Daikin issue the full check to the dealer for their dealer growth rebate, and then we would debit the distributor for their portion within rebates automation. When I go through the live demo, you'll see when you do that selection, and it can change on a quarter by quarter basis. You can select however you would like. What I'm showing you right here, and you will see it in the live demo, is just what the payments pending approval web face looks like, that one screen. And here's just a summary of the different types of functions that the approver can take. You can view all of the quarter rebates. Within the all forms is where you will see something that's very similar to the spreadsheet you would have received showing all of the dealer growth rebates that are due for that quarter, whether they are zero or not. Within sales data, you will see all the reported sales for the dealers that have dealer growth programs due for that quarter. And then again, as I mentioned, you would have the functionality to submit an exception, reject a form, and then last, select your payment option before you approve the total quarter. I'll go a little bit more into the special functionalities of rejecting a form, requesting an exception, and when you might need a second payment cycle, but you will have the capability within a quarter to have a second payment cycle. So right now what I want to do is jump into a live demo and show you exactly what you would be viewing within your own company. So it has logged me out. Give me one little second here to refresh. And what I'm going into is our own test development site. And you today, even if you don't have information, you can still you can still have your super user assign you the application, and you can go ahead in and see the menu, even if you don't have any information yet. So you will see it on your partner link menu, dealer growth, and you will come in as the distributor. Just as I mentioned before, if you have rebates that are pending approval, you will have information. Those that are approvers will see that information under this menu item. Somebody that you might give access to the tool, other managers, sales reps, so forth, they will be able to see information within all of these other menu items, but they will never be able to go into payments pending approval. So I will show you a little bit more information after we go over the approval screen. I'll show you what's under the others. So once you receive the payment pending for your approval, you'll go in right here. What you can see from this is what quarter. I'm, of course, in test development, so I'm looking at quarter 4, payment cycle 1. You would come into here to look and approve or reject your quarter. You see that it's on my level. I'm the customer, which is the distributor. Just as I showed you before, this is what it will look like for you. It will show you what the quarter is, and you will have all your forms, your total rebate, Daikin portion, distributor portion, and all of the sales data. I'm going to jump into the all forms first and go through this, and we'll step through it. So for my test distributor, you may have a lot more, but I'm looking at what are the forms that I have for this quarter that have come up for payment. As you can see, we have them listed out, and it really is just showing the rebates totals, the payment frequency, and so forth. But we have an export to Excel button, and that allows me to pull them into a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet gives me a lot of information that may look very similar to you. So it does give you your dealer names, the form numbers, approved and end dates, all of the eligible sales, what your sales were by product line, your calculation type, your minimum required, and then the total rebate year to date, less any prior payments, the total rebate, Daikin portion, distributor portion, and percentage. So I believe this is all the information you might want to look at, as well as what you structured as your programs to begin with. But to take a deeper look, and you can do it on a one-by-one basis, you can look at each individual form. This is a hot link, and it gives you this individual view of your form. And as you can see, it brings in all of the information that you submitted in your original PAP form: the dealer's name, start date, end dates, payment frequency, a Daikin percentage, and so forth. It also shows you your qualified sales, and it's calculated for you what the estimated rebate is, less any prior payments, and the split. These are hot links. You can actually go in and see on this one, if I click it, what all the qualified sales are for this specific dealer. You can look at it on a product group by product group. If you were thinking, I thought they had more Amana unitary sales, you can look at it from this aspect. But all of the information as a whole is available in your sales data. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to show you just something that's purely for your own ease of using the tool. Let's just say I just now went into dealer 5 and I thought that everything looked good. I might pre-approve it, meaning that I've looked it over and I don't need to review it again. If you had more than one approver that's looking at these and they wanted to signal to the other person within their company that you don't need to look at this one, that's just an easy way for you to utilize that box to show someone that you've pre-approved. It's simply something that you can use if you want, but you don't have to use it in any way. So if I go back to the sales data, this is going to give you all the sales data for all of the dealers that's eligible and non-eligible, meaning those products that they didn't select to be on the dealer growth form, for all of the dealers that you have a dealer growth program for this quarter. You can see that it's showing you the dealer growth sales category, the invoice date, the SKU number, the sales amount. And again, I mentioned that the rebate not qualified. This one's an extended warranty. But let's say it could be a product. Let's say that they didn't include a Amana product on their dealer growth for this dealer, and they had some sales. It would show as no on the rebate because it's not included in the program. There is more information within the download, so I'm going to show you that as well. So here it is. If you pull everything out or export it at one time, you can see all of your sales for all of your dealers. Invoice numbers, invoice dates, the quarters, whether it qualifies, and it gives you a little bit more information such as the brand, product class, short description. This is being pulled in from your own rebates automation, what you report. So a promo code, and this is a totally optional field. It's a reference number. It's on your rebates automation, and you can utilize it or not utilize it. This was a little bit of feedback from some of our distributors that they wanted to see this reference number pulled in because they wanted to use it as an identifier within the dealer growth program to identify either a location or to identify a salesperson. So we've built it in totally for your use. You can use it as you desire to use it. And it's pulled in from rebates automation. So if you report on your reference number, then it will be pulled into the program and you can use it however you want to use it. You can see that it's pulled in here as well. Okay, now I'm going to go back to a few more of our features just to show you what might happen if you were reviewing this quarter and wanted to approve it. I'm going to say that I came in here to this dealer 3, and let's say that this company was no longer doing business with us, and I did not want to pay them the dealer growth payment. So what I'm going to do is I need to reject this form. And when I reject the form, it's going to take it out of the payment cycle. So it takes it out of the payment cycle for payment, but you still have to take the extra step to expire the form with the PAP team, but we will not be paying it. So it puts it up here and it shows as a rejected form. It's reduced your total rebate and changed the rebate total, the Daikin portion, and the distributor portion. And here we see the view reject forms. If you have made a mistake, you can always reset it. Just come right back in. And reset the form. And it is put back into the payment cycle. One other reason that you may want to reject a form, and I'm just going to go back into that same one. Let's just say that you meant to include, or you realized that you had forgotten a product line. You had forgotten Daikin Ductless products, and you meant to include it within this dealer growth program. Then the only way that you can include it is to reject the form and supersede the form to include it. There really is no other way within automation to do an exception on that. Our exceptions do not include changing what the product lines are. However, there are other things that you can do as far as asking for an exception. If I was in here on dealer 1 and I reviewed this dealer and I saw that let's just say I knew the history of this dealer and the product had been constrained. If the product had not been constrained from shipping, then they would have met their minimum. So I really want to request an exception that we pay them anyway. I'm going to go in here and I'm asking for 10%, even though it's not up to the 12.5. The exception type is the program requirements not met. What I'm going to do is submit the exception. And you can see the amount of dollars. It was paying 0, and the exception calculation now would pay them $2,302, and the Daikin portion would be $1,841, and the distributor portion would be $460. I do want to point out a couple of things. I want to back up and let you know that exceptions can only be requested when it's the end of the program or when it's the last quarter of a quarterly program. So this was, I'm going to look at the dates here. This was Q4. So the end date was 12/31 and it was a quarterly, but it was on the last quarter of the quarterly program. So you can see I'm in as user with the name of Roger. So it's notated my details. The exception comments, you want to be as inclusive as you can because these are the only comments that finance will see in order to judge any exception that you may submit to them. There's one other step that you can take. if you're wanting to have finance really look at it, and you know that we have normally an 80-20 split. Well, you can, on top of your exception asking to pay for the dealer, you can request that you bear more of the percentage. You can request that Daikin's percentage be decreased and now be 60%, meaning that you will take on 40% of the payment to the dealer. So you can see that it changed the Daikin portion that we were going to pay from 18 to 13, and the distributor's portion from 460 to 920. Again, if you don't like what you've done and you want to change it and try something different, you can always do that. It's very easy just to reset and change it. I'm going to put it back in one more time because I want to show you the screen. So we've put in our exception. This is what it's going to look like on the screen for you when you look at all of your forms. It was going to be 0. Now you've asked for 2,302. The total with the exception would be 2,302. This would be Daikin's portion. This would be the distributor's portion. And now here on the screen before you approve, you can see this was the original details of the rebate total, Daikin and distributor. Now we've added an exception total, a new quarter total, the new Daikin portion, and the new distributor portion. Before I do my final review, I will look at my exception forms. I've only got one, but I check it. And I also understand that when I approve this payment cycle, any end of program forms or last quarter of quarterly forms are complete and cannot be resubmitted, superseded, or paid again, even if they are 0. So when you review all of your forms, just understand that once they go through a payment cycle, they are complete. They cannot be resubmitted into the program. So that's a checkbox, and then selecting which way you want to be paid. If you want for us to pay you within rebates automation, you make that selection. If you want Daikin to issue the dealer check, then you make this selection. You understand that dealer checks will be sent to the address in your PAP dealer master. You can review the dealer addresses here. If any of them are incorrect when you review them, please go and change them within the PAP dealer master and wait 1 day for them to refresh before you make your final approval, because we don't want to have to void and reissue checks because they went to an invalid address. And then you would make your final approval, and it would go to the next level of finance. I'm not going to do that this minute, just in case we have any questions. What I want to do now is just let you know, let's say it went on to that next level, and I am somebody and I want to check on where it is within that level. I come in here to dealer growth rebates. Once I make my final approval, then no longer is there going to be any information within here. I'll go in through manage dealer growth rebates, and I can always view, I can't make changes, but I can always view where things are, and I'll see where they are pending. Other people within your company would be able to come in here, and once we get quarter on quarter, you would be able at the end of 2024 to see all 4 quarters of your year and what was included in each one of those quarters. Now I'm going to show you quarterly payment history. I don't have any history in our test development site because we've not had any payments. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our helpful information and just give you a picture of what our quarterly payments looks like. And you can see that there's a lot of information in our helpful information menu item, and it's all specific to this dealer growth application. Everything that I just told you is under this all instructions for payment pending approval. And if you have questions on why would I reject a dealer growth form during payment approval, or when does it begin automated calculations, some of the things that I just went over, all this information is right here. How do I determine what level of approval my quarterly rebate is in? Just as I said, go in and look within your managed dealer growth rebates. So right now, I'm going to go into the quarterly payment history and show you what will be available. As soon as your payments are made, you will receive an email notification that payments have been made for your quarter, whether that means you selected option 1 or 2. And then you can come in and view it within your quarterly payment history. You'll go in, you'll see a menu very much like this, showing the quarter, total rebates, different portions, and click into the distributor paid portion and you can see the date that it was paid. If you had selected payment option 1 for Daikin to issue the checks direct to the dealer, then we are going to have information in here line by line, showing the form number, the dealer's name, the total rebate, and what the dealer was paid, the check number, the issue date, and even if they have cashed it. So all of that will be included in the dealer growth tool. You will have an Excel export that you can download all of the payment details in case you want to, send them out to different people within your company. If you've selected payment option 2 for Daikin to receive their portion in rebates automation, for the distributor to issue their checks, yes, and for the distributor to receive their portion in rebates automation, then the check information will not be populated. You will see that we'll still have the rebate information, but it'll say NA when it comes to the check issue cash date, and the pay type will say distributor issues dealer checks. So I am going to point out just a couple of more things here while I'm in our help docs. As I mentioned, you can add other people into the dealer growth application so that they can get access. They would not be an approver, but it's the very same way that you would have someone give access to your dealer growth approver, your distributor super user within their partner link ID would assign them the dealer growth application. They then can have the view only access for all of the other menu items. Here it talks about the dealer growth rebate approval role assignment and just shows your region super user again. These are the 2 boxes, the dealer growth application and the dealer growth approval role that would be checked off for those people that are going to be approving your dealer growth rebates. So I do want to let you know that the distributor and dealer dashboard are still in design and development and expected to be launched in late May or early June. But I will let you know that what you will see in the dealer dashboard will be very similar to what you see on an individual. Let me just go into one of the forms. What you see on one of the individual forms. It will have the individual forms view. It will show the original rebate dollars, what was set up as the program, and it will show how they are doing against their goals. It will not have the information for the dealer on the Daikin distributor portion and the percentage. And we don't, of course, they don't want to have that information. We don't want to share it with dealers. And it will show a month. This was a question I had yesterday. It will show the month in which it's through. And that really all depends on each one of you as distributors. So in June, if you're reporting through rebates automation, is up to date through April, then what will be showing the first week of June would be April year to date. And so for you, we would have the month April year to date, knowing that they are showing goals against April year to date. I do have just a couple more slides, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. I think I mentioned what types of exceptions can be processed in automation. And it really is those types of exceptions that can be based on your qualified sales times an exception percentage. And those would come into play in any of the times or in those type of situations when you feel that you want to ask for an exception if your customer didn't meet their program requirements or minimum requirements, but there's a reason why you still want to offer them an exception. The kinds of exceptions that need to have the form or the times that you need to reject a form are those times when you want to change the original program, such as changing the calculation type, adding an eligible product category, adding a secondary account number, or to change your original dealer growth program tiers or percentages. Then the proper way to do that, if you see one of those forms when you're going through the pending approval, is to actually reject the form because it takes it out of the payment cycle. And then you would supersede or expire the form so that you could submit a new one. And this is when that second payment cycle comes into play. Then if you get that dealer growth PAP approved and you're still in April, May, then it can come up for a second payment cycle for that same quarter and be paid right after that. So that's why we have the ability to have a second payment cycle each quarter for our distributors. And as I mentioned, this is when the dealer and distributor dashboards will be available on site. And we will roll out notifications to you and let you know when that's available. Sasha, I'm really going to open it up for questions now.